The social issue of poverty has been one of the most important of the past years. Poverty is the state of being extremely poor, where it is very difficult to pay bills, buy clothing and even provide food. 13.8% of Canadians are low-income status, and the number is expected to rise. Poverty can affect anyone, whether it is domestic violence, loss of employment or health problems. Everyone is susceptible to be poor. Today, the skyrocketing costs of living such as transportation, food, and especially housing in urban areas are exceeding the incomes of low-income Canadians. Today, around 1 in 7, or 4.8 million, people in Canada live in poverty. Over 200,000 people in Canada experience homelessness each year, and as many as 1.3 million Canadians have experienced homelessness over the last 5 years, and these numbers will only continue to grow if Canada doesn't start making it a high priority. Poverty mainly affects Canadians with disabilities, children, Indigenous Canadians, single parents, and new Canadians the hardest. Growing up in the home of poverty can affect overall health, mentality, and has many damaging effects on a child. Canada has only applied short-term, band-aid solutions to the problem, such as food banks which were created in the 1980s. In March of 2014, 833,098 people in Canada turned to food banks. 30 years have passed without a major step to reduce and eliminate poverty for good. Poverty also costs $72 billion and $84 billion annually for the government, so a long-term solution would end up saving money. Despite having one of the highest GDPs in the world, Canada has not made eradicating poverty one of its top goals. 25 years ago, a bill was unanimously passed in the House of Commons by all parties to end child poverty by 2000. However, no major steps were taken, and now, child poverty rates are worse. These children have huge difficulty going to post-secondary education, and may leave high school to help support their family. However, the lack of education greatly limits employment options, leading to a new generation of poverty. Poverty has a vicious cycle as seen in this picture. Growing up with a family history of poverty is very difficult to get out of. Providing help to children needs to be a top priority, as it breaks the rest of the cycle of poverty. Many Canadians have fallen victim to the cycle, and it is needed to stop, as everyone should be treated equally and be given equal opportunities. The media recognizes the fact of the problem of poverty. There are many articles and statistics on it. However, the poor themselves have very little opinion on the subject. They should be given more to say, as they experience the issue themselves. The power is in the politicians, however they do not go to the poor for their opinion on social reforms which would benefit them. Although Canada has promised to end poverty many years ago, it is still rare to see in the news. In the recent election, poverty was not mentioned by any federal parties besides the Green Party. Poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. Nelson Mandela. What Nelson Mandela is saying is we all have the power to help end poverty. Doing things like donating food to food banks and giving old clothes to clothing drives go a long way to help. By making poverty a great issue nationwide, a huge problem will be given more thought. All Canadians should have a right to adequate shelter, food, education. Thank you for listening to the presentation. I hope you enjoyed.